Yuri, you're most welcome. It's the morning program going out to you across the world. I'm Rowan Hand, and this is Beverley Brown, and a lady of the funeral director's arts and science. You're there looking after people at the very lowest point of family life, perhaps, Beverley.
Yes, we are. People trust us to help them at a time when they're really lost and do need a lot of help. Yeah.
Yeah. You're now engaged on an outreach within the spectrum of grief management, and it's involving a new book that's been brought out by Funeral Services Northern Ireland for children to help them come to terms with grief, and then on the same topic, a poetry competition.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
We launched our book. It's called Immun Tom, and it's a specially illustrated book for children to try and help them understand what has happened. For an adult, trying to understand death can be difficult, but for a child, it can be sometimes impossible. So it's a tool to allow adults, be that a teacher or a parent, a Sunday school teacher, to sit down with the child and talk them through what has happened and just to explore their feelings and how they're coping.
You put your finger on it there, to explore their feelings, because young and old as the folk might be, the size of grief can be enormous.
It can, and I think sometimes adults they're dealing with their own grief so often that sometimes they don't see the grief that the children are actually experiencing, and it can be just little things like a child might not want to see their parents crying. It's a very distressing thing for a child to see their parent crying. But in those circumstances, just trying to help them understand, actually, you're not upsetting your parents anymore. It's just that they are dealing with their own grief.
Of course, and it's also a time of opportunity for a greater family togetherness, because people who are grieving together are automatically helping each other in the process.
Yes, and it can make the family unit stronger. That you're there to support and help people through that circumstance.
Beverley, where did the idea for the book come from, Immun Tom?
We sourced that from a company in England, and it was something that was brought to our attention about 2 years ago. And we didn't do an awful lot with it initially, but then as I saw it progress, or people starting to use it and getting feedback from people about how helpful it was to them, then we thought it would be appropriate for us to offer that. And we'll offer that everywhere from the funeral home right throughout Sunday schools, churches.
So they're for everybody, really. But you're the famous Brown funeral direction company in Belfast.
Yes.
You've been in the business a long time. Your family's been in the business a long time.
Yes, over 100 years.
Wow!
I'm a fourth generation Brown to be involved in the business. Yes,
was there ever a choice for you to do anything else?
Yes,
really?
I wasn't put under any pressure, so I only.
You gravitated to it naturally.
I did eventually after a few detours. So yes.
Yeah. Detours are important.
Yeah, they are.
Because when you find the right road, then you want to stay on it.
Yes, that's true.
Indeed. But what was the calling? It's not. It's a caring profession. That's not normally seen as that, but it is very much a caring profession.
It is. It's a very responsible profession because people are in a very vulnerable place, and most people don't, thankfully, only arrange 2 funerals, so the statistics say, in their lifetime. So they don't really know what to do, and we're just there to try and help them as much as we can.
Yeah, when that bell rings in the middle of the night on your front door, how does the process take off from there?
So we'll contact the family. It's usually a telephone call. They'll contact us to say that somebody has died.
Has passed away.
Yeah, and then we will just have a conversation with the family and try and establish what they want and to look after the person that has died.
Yeah, I love that concept, to look after the person who has died. You're still giving the person the dignity of his or her humanity.
Absolutely, that's extremely important. That's the most important thing that we do. That person has had a special part in lots of people's lives, and it's important that we honour that.
Wow, that's a huge concept and wonderful concept. Do you find that people's requirements now in your business are changing as a response to greater pressures in society, to the economy, or to personal trends? Are things changing?
Yes, we have definitely seen things changing. People want more choice I know my father would talk about in his Father's Day, he just made the decisions for people based on what he thought he knew about you.
Yes.
But that's not what, appropriate any longer. So we just are offering people choice, and that can be anything from personalised service stationery to providing people with grave markers, and as long as it's within the realms of the law,
You're able to do
we
it.
will endeavour our best to help people.
Yeah, yeah. We're running out of course, it's, I don't know if it's true, but I'm told we're running out of real estate in which to bury people. It's becoming a bit of a tightness.
Yes, well, certainly in Belfast, there's facility at Roselawn now for I think the next 10 years. So there's not as much pressure there. But I know that's difficult for people who live in certain parts of the city to actually to travel to Roselawn. And the crematorium, we obviously only have one in Northern Ireland, so that brings pressures for people.
Are people increasingly looking to cremation as a way of disposing of the remains?
I think because there only is the one crematorium in Northern Ireland, that isn't really an option for a lot of people. So, for example, people living in Newry, to travel an hour to Belfast, it possibly isn't something that they would want to do, especially at that time when they're already under a lot of pressure. Yeah.
I think one of the most beautiful am I actually saying this? But one of the most beautiful crematorium that I've ever seen is down at an island in Cork.
Yes.
It's absolutely a tremendously beautiful, different place.
Yeah.
I saw it down there, and it's the kind of place that you wouldn't mind being brought to for your last journey.
No.
And it's so you know about that place?
I do.
Yeah, indeed. And then I was telling you about going over to the Undertakers School with David McGowan and doing the Undertakers Conference. And there I discovered the opening shot of my nationwide piece was a pan of a camera across half a dozen coffins in the early day in the showroom of the hotel where it was occurring. And it stopped on the beautiful wickerwork coffin with floral arrangement on top in wickerwork. And suddenly the lid lifted and I sat up and said, "You're most welcome to our program today."
There's not
find
everybody
myself
prepared
in a
to do that.
situation. But it was, people not prepared? Are people a wee bit fearful still of the whole business of dying
I
and
think
death?
so. It's the unknown for people.
Yeah.
And it's the end, unearthly end of a relationship
Yeah.
with somebody.
Religion, of course, helps people, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah. And do you see evidence of that strength coming through families and through people? What kind of evidence have you got?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of pastoral support from the local clergy who would be there to support families through their time, even if they haven't had any church connection. And
Yeah.
they would see it as an opportunity to witness to people.
Yeah.
And it's, even if people have no religious faith, they seem even at that time in their lives to draw strength from the support.
But that's the ordinary day-to-day business of what you do. Then came the extraordinary business of looking beyond and looking to the book for the children. What did you perceive to be the need for that?
Well, we are really in a privileged position that people choose to come and use us, and anything we can do to support local communities that use our services is, I feel personally, is very important for us to be doing that. And if we can get that information out there, and if it can help a couple of people or lots of people, then that's a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. And the poetry competition then, tell me about that.
Yes.
Finally. We look to that.
So this is our second year poetry competition, and this idea was presented to me last year, and I took a little bit of persuading, but I had to confess that somebody was wiser than me. And I was really startled at the reaction we got. We had over 80 entries this year, and our event is on Wednesday at Stormont.
At Stormont.
Yeah, we have over 80 people coming, so I'm really excited.
And the subject of the poetry will be?
It's based this year around the theme of water and bereavement.
Yeah. And there's a nice linkage there, water and bereavement, because water falls, water goes up, and water comes back down again. Yes. It's a nice flow, Yes. So you're 100 years in business, Beverley Brown of Browns of Belfast. You're proud of that?
I'm very extremely proud of that.
Yeah, it's written all over you. Yeah. And how, is it too late for people? Where do people get the book?
If they contact any of our funeral homes, and rather than with 19 in Northern Ireland, so rather than me bore you with
19, that's 19. Is that
different-
19 of Browns?
No,
No,
we have
different. So it's the Funeral
yeah.
Services Northern
Is the
Ireland.
overarching
That's the name
brand,
of the
yeah.
umbrella
Yeah, so
organisation.
if they contact our office on James Brown Sons in Newton Arch Road,
Yeah.
then we can certainly get them a copy.
Beverley Brown, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you very
down to
much
me
for having
today.
me. Thank you.
All the very best
Thank
to you.
you.
All the best. Take care. Music, sir.